settle in and listen to our mixtape and know the music vanishes. Enjoy your butternut sandwiches.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another fun-filled and exciting edition. I feel like I say that a lot, but they are very fun-filled and exciting editions of the mixtape. I'm Jason Emmett.
I'm Twisted Kid Matt.
And I believe you're lying, but I'm Stewie D too.
You believe who's lying?
I
What are you talking about?
I don't know what's happening.
Fun-filled, exciting. I think you're lying.
I was like, I don't know what's happening. Casey cannot be with us this week. Well, we hope everything's going well, Casey. We will see you soon. So we did an episode a while back where we talked about like fake movie bands. We're kind of doing that again, but it was like the Blues Brothers, That Thing You Do, Spinal Tap, a few more on that episode. So we wanted to do something similar again this time around. So we're going to be talking about movies that are kind of based around fake bands and like the movie and the band and everything it encompasses. And I'm just going to pretend like I'm not having a small stroke in my own brain right now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start. A lot of these are gonna be a little more recent, I guess, in the way that they're all gonna be. I think most of these are from the 90s or the early 2000s that we're gonna be talking about.
Right.
I don't think we're going back any further, but it's been a couple of weeks since I made the list, so I could turn out to be totally wrong. But we're gonna start with a movie that Stewie says he loves, which is kind of interesting because I didn't know that. I actually know that he likes a couple of these movies though. But the first one we're going to talk about this week is from 2001, and that is a little film called Josie and the Pussycats. So, Josie and the Pussycats, like I said, came out in 2001. It was a Universal picture. Honestly, this movie had a really good cast. This movie, as a few movies we're going to talk about in the next couple of weeks, kind of bombed in the box office. But it's weird because a lot of them that we're going to talk about have really good casts, and this is one of them. We had Rachel Lee Cook, Tara Reid, Rosario Dawson. They all played the Pussycats. Also had Alan Cumming and Parker Posey in this movie, which is pretty amazing too. If one considers, I love Alan Cumming. He doesn't really do a lot anymore.
He's Nightcrawler though, man.
He is Nightcrawler, which is
He's just going now.
God damn it.
I mean, when I have to think for a second, and then when the solution comes to my brain and it's not good.
And then Stu's just
You're fired.
laughing like that dog from what was it, the Laugh Olympics or whatever?
Yeah. What was that dog's name? Muttley or something like that.
Something.
All
I think
right.
it was like Snidely Whiplash's dog.
Yeah. Maybe that was it, Snidely.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys. Okay, first of all, Matt, have you ever seen Josie and the Pussycats?
No, I don't believe I have.
All right. So this plot of this movie
His name's Muttley, by the way.
messed up. All right. This is a messed up plot. All right. So this movie is supposed to be like a music comedy kind of thing, right? And there's this record executive who fronts this boy band, right? And they hear a weird backing track on one of their singles and they ask about it. So he basically kills them in a plane crash. He fakes a plane crash. Well, he bails out of the plane and kills the boy band. The band was called De Jour, and the members of that band, and they're only in it for a couple of minutes. It's Seth Green, Donald Faison, and Breckin Meyer, and some guy I don't know.
Some other guy who looks like a guy just from Independence, Missouri. And if you know Independence, Missouri, you know why I'm saying that.
There you go.
Looks like he's on meth.
So this executive then starts he decides he's got to have a replacement band for De Jour, right? So he finds the Pussycats in the town of Riverdale. This is way before the whole TV show and all that crap.
Yeah.
So is Josie and the Pussycats and Archie related?
Yes, yeah,
Oh,
they're an Archie comic, yeah.
okay. I
And
didn't
then
know
they
that
did
part.
then they became like a cartoon back in the probably like 70s or
I
something.
didn't know that.
Yeah, 60s or 70s.
Yeah. So he starts looking for a replacement. He finds the Pussycats in Riverdale. He turns out he's been sending subliminal messages through the music, which is what the De Jour band heard. And he's trying to get people to buy stuff. That's the plot. That's why this guy is doing everything he's doing. So Josie and the Pussycats starts having some infighting in the band because they're trying to put Josie as the face, because originally they're just the Pussycats, but they're putting her as the face of the band. Like this is too much plot for this weird little movie, in my opinion. Anyway, they start to uncover this ridiculous plot that's happening, and there's a whole final scene and happy ending and all that stuff. And I can't remember, but I think it turns out the De Jour boys didn't actually die, or spoiler alert, but I could be wrong about that. But I think they come back at the end
into a deserted island.
Yeah, something really ridiculous.
I feel like I need to watch this movie now. It sounds awful, but it sounds like
I'm going to say this. This movie was not great, and it did not do well.
It's very cheese.
But it is kind of silly cheesiness, like Stu said. There's something kind of endearing about how bad it is, if that makes sense.
If the woman that's the record exec is very weird, and
it's Parker Posey, so she's always fucking weird.
Yeah, so like at the end, you get to see her
pull
off things that
basically Alan Cumming is like, she's trying to be a singer too, I think, like, and she's wanting to be more famous than it's a whole weird plot thing. I will say this, the soundtrack for this movie is actually pretty good, so I would recommend checking that out. Like I said, this is 2001, which is weird because I actually thought it was in the 90s. I thought this movie came out in the late 90s, but it's 2001.
Yeah.
There are reasons that the soundtrack is really good, and I'm going to kind of talk about those for a minute. All of Rachel Lee Cook's vocals are actually performed by Kay Hanley from Letters to Cleo.
I had no idea about that.
So that's one thing. The other thing is Biff Naked performs most of the backing vocals on this. So these are two really, in my opinion, like really good musical artists. So
Shouldn't have been Buck Naked?
No, it's Biff Naked.
It's Biff Naked.
Okay.
Biff Naked, if you haven't ever heard, you should go check her out because she's actually really good. And like I say, Kay Hanley from Letters to Cleo. So that's some pretty good pedigree right there. I mean, as far as vocals on this soundtrack go. I also wanted to tell you guys some other cool stuff that I figured out. Tara Reid, they cast Tara Reid in this without auditioning her at all because American Pie had been such a huge hit. They just put her in it. But that's not necessarily the case for Josie or for Rosario Dawson's character.
Rachel Lee Cook is so hot.
Rachel Lee Cook is adorable. Yeah.
Agreed. Yep.
So Maggie Gyllenhaal and Zooey Deschanel both auditioned for Josie at one point in time. Now you got to remember, this is much younger versions of them. I don't see it either.
Yeah.
But they did audition. But Beyonce, Aaliyah, and Lisa Left Eye Lopez auditioned for Rosario Dawson's character of Valerie.
And here's a dark joke we're gonna cut.
Oh,
they killed him off when they didn't make it into the movie, except for Beyonce. She survived.
Why would you? Dude, you're the one who gets to cut it. He raised his hand. There's a reason for that.
That's awful.
But yeah, all three of them. But
when did they die? After auditioning.
You're talking much younger versions of all of them too.
Right.
Not that two of them got much older, but seriously though. So I mean, it might have worked. I don't know if I could see Beyonce in this. Lisa Left Eye Lopez maybe, and Aaliyah maybe. Aaliyah had done a little acting at this point.
Beyonce would not allow herself to.
Was it the Damned?
Romeo Must Die.
Romeo Must Die.
And Queen of the Damned.
Queen of the Damned, yeah.
So it was more darker style.
Romeo Must Die was like an action movie, yeah. But I mean, she might have worked. Aaliyah was beautiful. Oh, yeah. Actually, all three of these women were beautiful, and it's very sad.
Aaliyah was beautiful, just dumb.
Yeah, that
was stupid.
Yeah,
what she did.
It was a mistake in judgment, and it's sad that happened because they were all very talented, So, but Beyonce's still around, and does she really act? I mean, has she?
She's an Austin Powers Gold member. I know that.
Yeah, she was
off the top of my head. I'm sure there's something else.
It works in that movie because I guess you don't really have to be that great of an actress. I don't really consider her a great actress.
We'll look it up
by any means.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever really seen her in anything that's stuck out.
Think so either. Obviously, I can't. If it happened, I can't remember it.
I'm looking up on IMDb. What has Beyonce been in other than her?
I feel like choosing Rosario.
Oh yeah, she's been in. Dude, she's in The Lion King as the voice of Nala. She's in Dreamgirls. She's in Obsessed. Yeah, she's been in a few things.
Jennifer Hudson and beyond. Yeah, that's right. I forgot all about that. Yeah. I think they made the right choice in Rosario Dawson. Rosario Dawson is also beautiful, also can act. Like, she's an incredible actress. You can't really go wrong if you're putting Rosario Dawson in a movie.
No.
It's great in Clerks too.
Which was instantly part of my problem with Clerks 3. I couldn't finish it. I could not finish Clerks 3. Well, spoiler alert, not really, because you're going to find it out in the first 2 minutes. She's dead.
The fuck? Okay.
And her character's dead. Rosario Dawson's character is just dead in it. Yeah, they just tell you that.
Yeah, like we can't get her back.
I don't know. I don't know if that's what it was or not, but I don't know. It's got the point. It's just too many inside Kevin Smith jokes for me, and like that's fine. But like, if you're not in on it, you can't just watch his movies and enjoy them anymore because you got to be in on all the stuff he talks about on his 5 million podcasts, and I can't keep up with that. So I think now he has one with his daughter. And his other podcasts just sort of go away. Like he'll have them for a while and then they just vanish. And it's just hard to keep up. So, but we're not talking about Kevin Smith. We're talking about movie bands. And this next one, we've talked about a few times in I think the last few months on this show, but never directly. It's just sort of come up because of other things. And that is the 1994. And by the way, that blows my mind that this movie came out in 94. I thought this came out a little later. 1994 movie Airheads. Airheads is another movie that did really, really bad at the box office, but I love it. Like, it's just not considered to be a great movie, but I love it.
Yeah.
This movie started.
It's great.
Dude, it's so good. Like, I just think it wasn't really appreciated for what it was, at the time. It should have been, because 94, right around that time, is when these kind of movies were kind of becoming hits. But it did not do well. This movie starred Brendan Fraser, Steve Buscemi, and Adam Sandler. They play a struggling rock band who end up taking over a radio station just to force that radio station to play their demo. They end up holding a bunch of people hostage. We had David Arquette in this movie, Joe Mantegna, Ernie Hudson, Judd Nelson, and Chris Farley. Every one of them show up in this movie, as does White Zombie, by the way. White Zombie is in this movie
and Lemmy.
Briefly. Yeah, there's actually quite a few little small cameos.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's funny to look at David Arquette in this movie with his bleach blonde hair with all, it's very 90s hair. It's pretty great. So the name of their band in the movie is the Lone Rangers, which is actually pointed out in the movie as how ridiculous it is because there's 3 of them. So it's like, you're not exactly alone, are you? But they are all pretty much idiots in this movie. Steve Buscemi looks freaking evil in this movie too.
Dude, he looks like Rex from Pantera.
He really does.
Kind of reminds
me a lot like
Zombie in a way.
Yeah, that too. Like, he definitely pulls it off well. So does Brendan Fraser. Adam Sandler, not as much as the other two.
He looks like a Beastie Boy.
He does look like a
I'm just
Beastie
glad
Boy.
that he didn't put a wig on for this one and kind of just left it the way it is.
He looked like Opera Man.
Well, I think it kind of works for the movie in that he is sort of the outcast of like, he's kind of dopey. Like, it does kind of work. And we had talked about this a couple weeks ago. This movie got brought up where I think it was Matt who said something about, didn't they fill their squirt guns up with hot sauce? And they do. They fill their squirt guns up with hot sauce. They use squirt guns to hold up the plays.
It was our Band Toys episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. And I think they paint the tips, but I can't remember. And then they fill them with hot sauce, and they only get found out just the tip. The way I like it. I think they get found out because somebody shuts the tip of one of them in the door, and when it snaps it off, and it starts leaking hot sauce, which I hate when that happens personally.
The discharge burns.
So again, this movie actually bombed at the box office, but over the years, it's kind of grown a pretty loyal fan base. It's become a cult classic. I actually miss comedies like this a lot personally.
It almost seems like they don't do anything like this anymore.
They really don't. And so I have a little breaking news real quick for you guys in case you don't know. I just heard this last night, but it has been confirmed. Oddly enough, it was confirmed by Drew Barrymore, and I'll tell you why this is odd, because I don't know what part she plays in it. Maybe she's going to be in this one. Billy Madison 2.
I heard something about that.
Is happening, but I think it's happening with Netflix, and I'm just going to be honest, man. I don't expect it to be good.
I mean, Hopefully, there's a cameo of Bob Barker.
Yeah, I mean they could probably do something. That might be neat actually if they did a little something.
Do like the ghost of.
They'll probably show
Force
like
Ghost.
it'll be like a news report, like, and if you recall this outing with Bob Barker, they'll just show the scene again, maybe. But one, I don't know why Drew Barrymore, unless she's going to be in it, which I guess is possible that she's.
Well, her and Adam Sandler have got
Yeah,
quite
very
the history of being in
Yeah,
movies together.
well, they're really
so.
good friends and very close, but she wasn't in the first one, so I don't know. And two, I've been like when I watch his stuff that he tries to do now, it's like it's not Adam Sandler anymore, and it's like it's too toned down. And like, how you gonna do Happy Gilmore if you're not that crazy guy? You got to be that crazy guy. That's kind of like part of it. So we'll see. We'll see as more stuff comes up. I'm sure we will discuss it here and amongst other places. If you're not checking out our YouTube channel, you should be, because like that's one of the things we do a lot now is talk about movie news and upcoming stuff. So you should be checking it out. Also, this video is up there too. Before we go into our next movie, we're going to take a really quick break and give a little shout out word from our sponsors, bustedtees.com. Head over to bustedtees.com, find all your geeky apparel, t-shirts, hats, stickers, socks, whatever, with cool game and movie and TV inspired stuff on it. I promise you're going to like this stuff. And at checkout, if you use my code Jason25945, you're going to get 20% off. That's bustedtees.com, promotional code Jason25945. All right, so we are back and we are going to go into our next film. Again, a lot of these are from the 2000s. I didn't really realize putting this together, but this one comes from 2003. This is a little film that I think most people will actually really like. That is 2003's School of Rock. This film stars Jack Black, Joan Cusack, Mike White, Sarah Silverman, and iCarly. So,
is that her actual name?
No,
her name is not iCarly.
Is her real name iCarly?
Yeah, like she was made in a factory, and yeah,
they this process.
She's actually part robot. She's a cyborg,
possibly.
All right, I have some things I really want to discuss with you guys about this movie, but I'm going to give the real quick plot synopsis. So Jack Black is a down on his luck and out of money guy. Like, I don't know what he does with his life, but he has no money. So his friend actually is offered a job as a substitute teacher. He overhears it and he decides he's going to pretend to be that guy and go be the teacher so he can earn a paycheck.
Which is a crime, by the way.
Okay. That's what I want to talk about. So he ends up convincing the kids in class to start a band instead of actually learning anything so that they can play at the Battle of the Bands. This movie was a smash hit. This actually really helped establish Jack Black's career. It really did. I mean, he was around and he was starting to be known, but this was kind of like his first like solo outing where people are like, okay, we should give this guy movies. This movie spurred a string of actual music schools, like real life music schools. Right. School of Rock is a real thing now. And there's also a Broadway musical based off of this now that is very, very famous and supposedly really good. But I want to discuss how this plot doesn't make any sense. Now, I really, really like this movie. This movie's a lot of fun, right?
That's great.
But come on, man. First of all, how can you take a job at a school and them not really get any photo ID to make sure you are in fact the person you claim to be?
Yeah.
And 100% this guy's going to jail, right? Like 100%.
Yeah. No matter if you do win the Battle of the Bands.
Around kids.
Like, right, yeah. You were in trouble. You are not doing jail time.
Yeah.
Like, I love this movie. It's a lot of fun, but I don't care how nice you are. Like, the parents would be fucking livid. Like, I'm like, do what now? And the school's probably getting sued, right?
What telling me is a guy came in, spent a lot of time around our children, and you had no idea who he was.
Took them out of the school to all kinds of places, lied to you about where he was taking them, and
and that van definitely smells like weed too. So
you think like this? Not only is this dude doing jail time, this school is getting sued like fucking crazy. Right?
It's getting shut down.
Yeah. Also, Stu, if you stole my identity and went and faked a job, I don't know how we would still be friends, but I don't know how close we would be afterwards. Like, so you did what now? You could have gotten me in trouble.
And people believed you were me. Like for real? Like they actually thought you were me?
I mean,
what does that say about me?
Back then, probably not.
It's just a weird plot, but it's fun.
You said this was 2003, right?
Yeah, 2003. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, definitely background checks are definitely happening in the world because it's 2 years after 9/11.
9/11 has happened.
Oh yeah,
they've heightened that up.
Now,
not only that, but like, Columbine had happened. What, like 3 or 4 years before that?
Before that, yeah.
So like tightening up security at schools is.
In all fairness, somebody might be losing their mind right now. I've not watched this movie in a long time. I do not recall him having a fake ID. Maybe he did. I don't think so, though. I don't recall that at all. But if that happened, it's been a while since I saw this. It doesn't matter. He's still going to jail. But this is a fun movie. It's a lot of fun. The music's great. Jack Black is a lot of fun, and it shows Joan Cusack. She's really great in this movie too. And this is weird. Every once in a while, you'll see Sarah Silverman pop up in something where she plays like the subdued version of her. I've been rewatching
Wreck-It Ralph,
the series Monk. Well, even then, Penelope is sort of silly and crazy, right?
It's Vanellope von
Vanellope,
Sweets.
that's what it is. I'm sorry, you know your Wreck-It Ralph better than me. You gotta have something in life, Matt.
I know.
Your Wreck-It Ralph knowledge is. He's like, that's what I'm good at, right? Growing a beard and Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, both at the same time.
I've been rewatching the series Monk, and she's in a couple episodes, Sarah Silverman, and it's just so weird to like see these early. Like, I forgot. There's a ton of people in Monk, by the way. It's like every few episodes, Snoop Dogg is in an episode of Monk, for Pete's sake. It's
what? He's in everything.
He is in everything.
I've never seen a single episode of Monk.
Oh, it's a great show. It's just like all those shows, though. Like, why is it so many? Now he was an ex-homicide detective, and he works with the cops, the police. They hire him as a consultant, but still, people around him just die like crazy.
Like Batman.
Or
Murder, She Wrote, actually.
Yeah, he's got like a lot of problems, especially after his wife died. Yeah, Murder, She Wrote. She's totally killing everybody, right?
She's a serial
She's
killer.
a murderer because she's just a writer, and everybody around her keeps getting killed. She'll go on a holiday and like 12 people get murdered.
Yeah.
Stop writing.
Stop writing. You're killing people, you son of a bitch. Stop.
It's like it's fucking in the mouth of madness. She's Sutter Kane, just killing everybody.
Wouldn't the final episode of Murder, She Wrote been great if you just turned out and
she just gets arrested?
It'd been her all along, just framing the shit out of people.
And you know that if they
would have been,
if they did Murder, She Wrote now, it would be a podcast, just a true crime podcast. That's all it is.
Do you want me to go way off the rails for a second?
Absolutely. It's not like we never did that before.
The final episode of St. Elsewhere, it turns out it was a little kid having a dream, right? Mm-hmm. Which everyone was like, what the fuck?
But isn't that the snow globe thing? Let's deep dive on that one, by the way.
I don't know. But I know it had something to do with a little kid and a dream and whatever. All I know is that kid's going to be an excellent doctor if he already knew all that doctor knowledge shit for years. He's been like hire that kid. That's Doogie Howser right there, motherfucker.
Great show. Another great show that would never happen, by the way.
Elsewhere, no, it was a medical drama show. It wasn't
before ER.
Yeah.
Way before.
I didn't watch it. I don't. I just know the ending is really famous because
so weird tangents related to St. Elsewhere. Apparently, there's like a whole like flow chart of everything, like all these different shows that connect to St. Elsewhere that all take place in this kid's dream. So really? I mean, it's like a ton of different shows that are all connected somehow.
That's bizarre.
Like spinoffs of spinoffs of spinoffs, and then they all lead into.
That would be a great episode for us to do.
Yeah.
Shows that had great endings and shows that had really bad endings.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say shows that connected to other shows.
The St. Elsewhere.
No, it's like Perfect Strangers leads into Family Matters.
Yeah. Well, those were
that leads into
Mork and Mindy,
Step by Step, and Step by Step. All those shows were connected.
Was that Mork and Mindy and Happy Days?
Mork and Mindy came off Happy Days. It was one of 3 shows to come off Happy Days.
And I think all of these shows we're talking about,
Cody Love, Chachi, and Laverne and Shirley all came off of Happy Days, actually.
And then it became Charles in Charge when Chachi had to changed his identity after
Right.
that.
Where are we going? I don't know where we're going. The Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Ralph Macchio?
No, Mr. Miyagi.
Oh yeah, he played Arnold. Yeah. Well, not Arnold.
I mean, it was
He ended up
Yeah.
coming to the
It's like the weird epilogue of Happy Days is like what
So,
happens is
We actually have more
Arnold
movies.
goes on to teach
yeah,
karate
that's
to a
right, we did.
kid.
It's Henry Winkler is the bad guy in Karate Kid. It was been a totally different movie. Hey,
He just
right.
kicks a kid in the
Right.
face.
We have another movie. We have more movies, believe it or not. I'm actually looking forward to talking about this one because I don't know of a lot of opportunities to talk about this movie in this show. And this is a very divisive movie for a lot of people out there because I know a lot of people really liked it, like Stewie, and I like it myself. A lot of people didn't. And I think the people who didn't weren't really in the world, like the world of music or the world of, like, we'll say metal bands or hair bands. So that this movie is Rockstar from 2001. This movie did not do well in the box office. I'm starting to notice a trend here. I think I mentioned it earlier. This is Mark Wahlberg and Jennifer Aniston. Mark Wahlberg is a singer in a tribute band for the 80s group Steel Dragon. I always thought that was kind of a corny name, but there are reasons why they chose some of the names in this. He starts
Sounds like a roller coaster.
He starts having issues with the band, and they exchange him for another guy from another tribute band.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, the lead singer of the original band, which is Steel Dragon, decides he's had enough with the band. So he gets into it with the band, and they fire him.
Mhm.
So then that band sees a tape of Mark Wahlberg singing, and he ends up getting hired on by the band. Sounds complicated, but we'll talk about that in a second because it's actually inspired by some real stuff that happened.
Yeah.
What follows after that is a life of drugs, debauchery, until finally Wahlberg's character hits a wall, walks off stage in the middle of it, hands the mic over to somebody else,
And then becomes Kurt
and
Cobain.
becomes an indie singer. Yes. I didn't hate this movie. There's a lot of cool stuff to talk about when it comes to this movie, and I really want to get some thoughts on it.
I know that it's depicted off of a real band.
So it's actually
Steel Heart, I believe.
Yes, so that's where that's why the name Steel Dragon came about, was because of Steel Heart. This is actually based loosely around Tim Ripper Owens, who was the lead singer for Judas Priest. Judas Priest, he left the band temporarily, and he was replaced by Rob Halford, who had been in a tribute band originally. That's how
Rob Halford was.
That's how they found him. Yeah.
Wait, hang on.
I didn't.
I'm sorry.
I think you said that.
I'm sorry. It's loosely based on the life of Tim Ripper
not at all.
Owens, who was in a tribute band when Rob Halford temporarily left.
I was like, wait a second.
Okay.
So no, here's how I thought you were going
Owens,
with that. I thought you were saying Rob Halford was in a tribute band
He
for
was,
Judas Priest, and then Ripper
I
Owens
did-
took over,
no,
left
that
the
is
band.
absolutely-
Rob Halford came in.
That is absolutely
like,
what I said, but that's
what
not
is
what I
this
said.
goddamn Mandela effect that I've
I
never
mean, it
heard
totally
of?
backwards.
Yeah.
Rob Halford temporarily left Judas Priest, and they found Tim Owens he was a singer for a tribute band. That's how he got the gig. But here's the thing: Judas Priest has come out and they've totally disavowed this film because they said they were denied any creative control, and they said most of the story ended up being totally fabricated. It isn't what actually happened, aside from the whole, like, we found him in a tribute band and he took over temporarily. So yes, Stu, the band Steel Heart has a song in the movie, and all the vocals were actually performed by, and I'm going to try to say this dude's name, Miljenko Matijevi, who is the lead singer for Steel Heart.
Nailed it.
So thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I honestly, I don't know.
He's like, that sounds right to me. He's the lead singer of the band Steel Heart, and so everything you hear Mark Wahlberg sing is actually him. So that's why I think you're right. That's why they went with Steel Dragon. So the band Steel Dragon is made up of some really cool people that you may or may not have known. It's Jeff Pilson from Foreigner, so the fake band in the movie. Jeff Pilson from Foreigner and Dokken, Zach Wilde from Ozzy, and
Pantera
and Black Label, yeah,
and Pantera.
Jason Bonham, who is the son of John Bonham,
Right,
and then Dominic West, who's an actor. He's the other member of the band. So the final song in the
It
film,
is, isn't it?
The final
I haven't seen
song-
this movie, by the way. So, but yeah, that's
not?
definitely Zach Wilde right there.
So the
Okay.
only other person who sings the vocals for Mark Wahlberg is Brian Vander Ark. Do you guys know who Brian Vander Ark is?
The name does not recall.
He is the lead singer for the Verve Pipe. So the
Oh.
final song in the movie when he's in the coffee house performing
Oh,
is actually Brian Vander Ark from the Verve Pipe who does that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of that's what I said. I think people who are kind of into the world of like big hair and this type of metal really enjoyed this movie because a lot of it reflects to kind of real stuff. Like this movie is not. This is a very kind of dirty film and like it's not. I wouldn't call it a happy film. I think it's showing the like this is the life he thought he wanted until he got it, and it's just like it's miserable. And I think it's supposed to kind of show that side of how difficult it can be to be in this type of band. And even though you have the fame and everything, like how hard it is on you because it's a lot of like drugs and drinking and weird sex. There's a really famous scene in this movie where the two of them have sex with this girl all night. And in the morning, that girl gets up, walks over, stands up and pisses in the toilet because it's not a girl at all. So, and then now it's what I mean. This movie just really plays on the like stereotypical lifestyle of like these really heavy metal bands and the mental drain it can take on you after time. So it's pretty good. You should give it a watch, Matt. It's a pretty good movie, but don't expect to feel good. Actually, the ending to me always felt a little tacked on feel good. Like it was a little too like
There's probably
gotta
some
be
with
happy.
test audience who's like, this
I
is
like
really depressing.
Stu said he became Kurt Cobain. He definitely becomes a coffee house indie rocker.
well,
at
he
the
was
end.
wearing the cardigan. And,
Yeah, he did kind of look a little like Kurt Cobain at the end, but yeah, it's an interesting movie. People should check it out. So the next two movies we're going to talk about real quick go a little outside the vein, but not really. I want to talk about a movie that came out in 1992 and then one that came out in 1993. I didn't realize these movies came out back to
They were
back.
that close?
Did not realize
I
that.
didn't realize that. Yeah.
That would be Sister Act and Sister Act 2. So let's
Back
talk
in the
a little bit
Habit.
about Back in the Habit. What a great
Sounds like a Die Hard sequel.
Die Hard 2, Back in the Habit. So Whoopi Goldberg is a lounge singer in Reno, Nevada, where she is also messing around with the mobster club owner, who's played by Harvey Keitel. I love Harvey Keitel. So she sees Harvey Keitel kill a guy, and now he wants to off her too because of it. He wants to take her out.
Maybe no
So
witnesses. How many witnesses? None.
Shut up, Matt. God, you guys and your you have a bad habit of cracking bad jokes.
Forgive me, I've sinned.
So she turns to the police, right?
Yeah,
And they place her in witness protection, disguising her as a nun, which is very weird, but whatever. So through a great deal of hilarity, she ends up joining the choir, and then she ends up leading the choir. The choir starts to become a big deal in the community because they're singing like more fun. Like this church was dead; nobody was coming to the church, but because she gets this choir like up and running and singing more fun songs, the church starts getting really popular, and they start getting a lot of attention. And that attention gets her found out by the mob, et cetera, et cetera. You could kind of deduce what happens from there. I think we get a scene where nuns are like punching dudes or something. It would be really cool if that is what just nun fight at the end. This movie was a major
I would watch the
hit.
shit out of that.
He's like, just
Nun fight.
just like
nuns
kung
with
fu
chunks.
nuns,
This is where nunchucks.
ninja nuns
Yeah,
from
nunchuck.
Norway.
Actually, wait a minute. Hang on, Stu. I'm gonna pause you right there. I have a movie where
Why is it not a
there-
Chuck Norris movie.
no, listen. There is a movie. It is a nunsploitation movie that I actually own a copy of it. I'll have to track down what it is, and I'll put it on the screen right
Didn't
here.
even know this was a genre.
It's like a short film. It's like 15 minutes, but there is
Listen.
literally a scene where a nun comes out and uses nunchucks that are crosses with
That's
the chain connecting.
fantastic.
It
Number
is
one.
awesome. Yeah.
Why is there not a comedy with Chuck Norris as a nun called Nunchuck?
Chuck, make it happen.
Oh my God.
Friend of the show.
Nunchuck.
Friend of the show. I don't know if we associate ourselves with Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
He associates with
He
us.
associates himself with us.
Yeah.
This movie was
Which,
not.
by the way, Chuck Norris is coming to Cincinnati area soon.
Yeah, good for him.
Trying to sell those jeans again.
Unlike the rest of these movies, this movie was a major hit. This
Yes, it
movie
was.
like made $200 million, like earned $200 million.
I actually had the soundtrack for it. Surprisingly, yeah.
This was around the time that Whoopi was real big, right?
Yeah, 92. So yeah, I mean, dude, we should do a whole Whoopi Goldberg because and Stu and I both love
Jumpin' Jack Flash,
Jumpin' Jack Flash, and Burglar. Like these
that,
are.
and, they used to do that comic relief thing.
Yeah, every year it was her and Billy Crystal
and Robin Williams.
Was that around this time too?
Yeah, it would have been going on still here. So some cool stuff about this movie. This movie was actually offered to Bette Midler. She turned it down. I want to bring this up because
another Hocus Pocus cast member is already in the movie.
In 19, well, that's true. Kathy Najimy is in this movie,
right.
but in 1993, an actress named Donna Douglas and her partner Kurt Wilson actually filed a $200 million lawsuit against the Walt Disney Company. They also filed it against Whoopi Goldberg and Bette Midler. They claimed the film was plagiarized from the book A Nun in the Closet. So this was looked into. This is crazy, guys. Over 100 similarities were found between this movie and the book. And they were offered a $1 million settlement, but they declined it. And then they lost the case. See, they wanted $200 million. To me, you're getting a little greedy. It gets a little crazier. That was in 1993. In 2011, a nun named Delois Blakely, I think was her name, she filed a lawsuit against the Walt Disney Company and Sony Pictures, claiming that the Harlem Street Nun, an autobiography she wrote in 1987, was the basis for the film. She said execs had been interested in it, and she wrote a synopsis and turned it in. And then she didn't hear anything, and next thing you know, they make a movie. She asked for $1 billion in damages, but the New York Supreme Court dismissed the lawsuit. Maybe if you guys...
How many years was this after the fact?
This was 2011.
And she didn't notice any similarity in 1993.
It's possible she didn't watch
It's not
movies.
always, yeah, and it's also not always easy to file lawsuits. Sometimes you got to find lawyers who are willing to take it on because you can't pay them. So it's
that's fair and all, but
maybe
you think if she was a nun herself,
listen,
the other one?
Listen, maybe you ask for $1 million, not $1 billion, and then they settle with you. And the first ones, they would have settled with them.
$1 million and then royalties, maybe.
It's just crazy.
Something.
$1 billion. She thought,
like who thinks that number was actually capable?
Yeah, like for a movie that didn't make anywhere near, even the two of them combined, I don't think made that. Anyway, the first film did really, really well, is what we're saying.
Yeah,
and
inspired
so why
drag
not,
queens all over the world.
So why not make a second one, right? Not only did they make a second one, they made it the year after. But to me, the second film felt very forced. It didn't really have the same flow to it because it didn't make sense why she would. Well, they tried. This movie actually did well. It made money, but it didn't do as well as the first one. This time, the nuns need help getting their high school choir up to snuff, or they're going to lose their school. So they ask Whoopi Goldberg to pose as a musical teaching nun, which she does. And in it, she discovers a young Lauryn Hill, which very young Lauryn Hill is in this movie.
With her RBF right there.
And together they overcome the odds and save the day. Hallelujah. Everybody's happy, right? So this one's a lot more of the young youth choir in it. Also, even though for some reason Matt does not think it looks like her, it totally does to me. A very young Jennifer Love Hewitt is in this movie.
Why does that girl always look pissed off?
That's what he just said.
That's what I just said. She's got RBF.
Man.
RBF, yeah.
For some reason, Matt doesn't think this looks like a young Jennifer Love Hewitt, but it totally is.
Totally
a young,
does.
Yeah, it does to me too. She's just very young, dude. This is 93.
You just can't see the big boobs.
Yeah, she
yeah,
probably didn't have them yet. Yeah. Critics didn't really like this one nearly as much. I enjoyed the music in the second one a lot, but the plot was paper thin at best. There really wasn't much of a plot. It was just an excuse to kind of get them back together.
I can honestly say I didn't really watch either one.
The first one's funny. It's weird because it came out around a time that there was a movie called Nuns on the Run.
Dude, okay.
Great movie,
First
which
off,
is about two dudes that hide out as nuns because they're being chased. And it is one of my favorite scenes ever.
Twisted Kid episode coming down the road about Nuns on the Run. We have got to discuss that film.
I love Nuns on the Run.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite because he's trying to teach him how to do the what do you call that?
Crossing
cross
yourself.
when you cross yourself
Wallet
because they're
watch.
Catholic. Spectacles, testicles, wallet, watch. That's how he teaches them. Spectacles, testicles, wallet,
like,
watch. Or watch wallet.
For the record, you're asking the Jewish guy
about
Catholic
Catholicism.
stuff. Yeah.
And he knew. He said it. He said it though. If you heard him, he's like,
Yeah.
I'm multi-faith. All right.
Hey.
Which, by the way, Connie and I watched Dogma about a week
Yeah.
ago. Impossible to find.
Bring Kevin Smith
It's
back.
great. It's a great movie.
Dogma is a great
that's
movie.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't watch it anywhere other than a DVD you currently own.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he has a deal with one
It's
of the streaming services. I'm surprised it's not on there.
Not that one. And I'll tell you real quick exactly why. It's because Harvey Weinstein owns the rights to it. And there's videos of him talking about the only way that they will actually be able to get the rights back is if the lawyer finally agrees to give it back, because he's been trying to get the rights back forever, even after Weinstein's in prison. The only way he'll get it back is if a lawyer finally agrees to a number that they're not going to do. But I guess even Matt Damon and Ben Affleck got involved with trying to get the rights back for him. And the other way that he could get it back is if Harvey Weinstein dies. That's the only way. It will revert back to him when Harvey Weinstein dies. And let's use our powers for good.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
We have officially talked about him on this show, and we know what happens when we talk about certain people on this show.
Yep.
Harvey Weinstein.
Let's hope that our forces are used for good this time.
Yep. Yeah, he's pretty much a walking pile of shit too. So
well, he's not walking; he's in a wheelchair now because fuck that guy.
Whatever. Fuck that guy. All right, we have one more movie to talk about. One more movie. This is a great movie. This one came out in 2000. Here's the thing: didn't do well in the box office. I didn't know that.
Wait,
what?
what?
Critics love this movie, but it didn't make a lot. This is Almost Famous from 2000. Awesome movie.
Is this from the same creators as
This is
ROCKSTAR?
from Cameron Crowe. No.
I thought
They
ROCKSTAR
do have a very similar feel to them.
I get
even though I have not seen. I think
I get where you would.
Didn't they come out around the same time though?
Well, this is 2000, and ROCKSTAR
I think
was
ROCKSTAR came out
2001. It came out like the following year. So
maybe that's why I was thinking this.
I think the look of the film is very similar, but no, they're not. They're not associated in any way. This was written and directed by Cameron Crowe. It's loosely based on his own experiences as a kid when he wrote for
Rolling Stone
magazine. So it's loosely based around that. The movie itself tells the story of a 15-year-old outcast who wants to be a rock journalist. So he starts writing for this underground paper in San Diego. He's asked to check out and review a Black Sabbath concert, and someone reads that, and without knowing, they hire him. The editor of Rolling Stone says, "Hey, I want you to write an article on the opening band for that Black Sabbath concert," which was this band called Stillwater. And he decides to send him on the road with Stillwater, but at the time when he asks him, he doesn't know that he's only 15. So this 15-year-old goes on tour with this band, Stillwater. This takes place in the 70s, obviously. So this movie is a look at a band through the eyes of an outsider who managed to accidentally find his way inside. I know that sounds weird, but that's what it is. And this movie feels real to me, which is probably a lot, like you said, ROCKSTAR kind of feels real to me too. Russell Crowe actually said the band, which in the movie is made up of Jason Lee as the lead singer.
You mean Cameron Crowe?
Yeah, no, Russell Crowe. Yes, Cameron Crowe.
I was like, hang on.
Sorry. Yeah, Cameron Crowe. Actually, the band is made up of Jason Lee as the lead singer, Billy Crudup as the guitarist, Russell Hammond, who is actually who most of the movie focuses on. Mark Kozelek is the bassist in the movie, and Ed Valancourt played the drummer in the movie. So he actually has said that the band itself was a composite of a couple of different bands he'd had experiences with on his time on the road. At the time, Cameron Crowe. So Stu, you're going to like this if you didn't know this, which I'd be shocked if you didn't, but you might not have. at the time when he made this movie, he was married to Nancy Wilson of Heart. And Nancy Wilson actually wrote a few of the songs for the movie, and they had Peter Frampton serving as a technical consultant. So that's probably why the music, the band, everything feels so real for the time period, because they had people that were involved in the time period. And the song Fever Dog in the movie feels like it should have been a real song, because Nancy Wilson freaking wrote it. So when you have one of the members of Heart writing you some of your music, and you have Peter Frampton consulting in all the technical aspects, you're probably going to get it right. I would hope. So Crow has actually confirmed that the Golden God scene, which is one of the most famous scenes in the movie, where Billy Crudup's character's like up on top of a motel, and he's like, "I am a golden god," and he runs and jumps off and dives into the pool. He says that was inspired by Led Zeppelin lead singer Robert Plant, who he once heard him over saying the phrase, "I'm a golden god." Greg Allman has said he believes a lot of the film scenes were actually based on Crow's time spent with the Allman Brothers Band. And he gives that scene in particular as a reference, stating, "The jumping off the roof into the pool, that was Dwayne from the third floor of a place called the Travel Lodge in San Francisco. My brother wanted to do it again, but the cat who owned the place came out shaking his fist, yelling at him. We told that story all the time, and I have no doubt that Cameron was around for it." So probably he used the two. I remember Dwayne Allman jumping off the roof, and I remember Robert Plant calling himself a golden god, and he merged the two together. So that's why this movie feels so real to me. So Penny Lane was played by Kate Hudson, and she was actually based off a real life person named Penny Lane Trumbull. Actually, she was based off a couple of different people, but primarily Penny Lane Trumbull. So she was based off a real person as well. And there were a group of women. I forget what they call themselves in real life, but in this, they're the Band-Aids. They are not groupies. They are Band-Aids. They get really ferocious about that in the film. Obviously, we all know the really famous scene in the bus, the Tiny Dancer scene in the movie, where they're all sitting this scene has become infamous too, where they're all sitting in the bus, all kind of just wore out from the road, and somebody starts singing Tiny Dancer, and before you know it, the whole bus is singing Tiny Dancer by Elton John. This is really cool because a few years back, I was at a concert. It was Better Than Ezra opening up for, actually it was KT Tunstall, and then Better Than Ezra, and then Bare Naked Ladies. And the guys it was funny because I went to see Bare Naked Ladies, but Better Than Ezra stole the night, man. They were fantastic. And he was out there talking. He's like, "So the other night, we're on the tour bus. We're just chilling after a concert. Everybody wore out. And the boys from Bare Naked Ladies came on the bus with us." And he's like, "And we just started singing." And he starts singing Tiny Dancer. But before you know it, the whole crowd is like just singing this Tiny Dancer with him. It was really cool. And it's all because of this movie. I believe that, well, I don't just believe, every musician I know, especially musicians that were alive during this time period, loves this movie. And it's just one of those, I think it's like just captivated musicians and music lovers for years. And yes, it did not make a lot of money at the box office. Critics, like I said, critically, this movie was...
Did it make any money on sales afterwards?
I don't know. I don't think overall I think it pretty much lost money overall. It's just one of those things where you can have a really good movie. Could be when it was released. Could be all kinds of stuff. Like, I don't remember what was released right around it. Could have been swamped out by other movies.
I'll do a quick tribute to Not a Bomb real quick. Shout out Not a Bomb, by the way.
Do they talk about
check
this?
them out. I don't know. I'm gonna
Oh.
look it up, see what
because the bomb
were.
at the box office. That's a interesting thing. If they haven't, they should.
It's got a 7.9 on IMDb, 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 90 on Metacritic. Like it's highly rated. It did 47.4 million in the box office at the time. I'm not entirely sure how Not a Bomb does all this research, but it's probably a lot more than
well, that's what
their
show's about, man. So
yeah, everybody go check it out. And hey, Troy and Brad, if you hear this, do an episode on Almost Famous.
Almost Famous is a great movie, and like I said, critically it's acclaimed, and I think people who have seen it love it. I just don't know if just people didn't go to the box
or do one on Josie and the Pussycats.
I mean, it's a bomb too. You guys could
Actually, do an
literally do it
entire
on
month. Do an
almost
entire month
everything on
on
this
fake
show
films.
that we talked about this week, except for School of Rock
And
and
Sister Act.
Sister Act. You guys could talk about because
Mhm.
they all bombed at the box office, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
maybe that's telling though.
Budget
Maybe
of
that
60 million and made worldwide 47 million.
you know
It's
So
just that I guess
definitely a bomb.
the '90s just didn't really take to
well, this
music
was these most of
movies.
these would have been in the 2000s, and that's the
Or, I'm sorry,
question, right?
2000. Sorry.
Is it just a era that they tried to come out in that people just weren't going to see them? Like, I don't. That's a good question, and I'm kind
I
of
mean,
curious.
do we have ones coming out now these days that are successful?
Yeah, but most of them these days aren't based. They're all the music movies coming out are based off real people, like, and some of them do okay, and some of them don't. Like, I don't think Whitney did well, but I heard it wasn't very good. I don't think One Love did as well as they had hoped it would do, which is the Bob Marley one.
I mean, I know
I heard it wasn't
Bohemian.
great.
Got
Bohemian
Amy
Rhapsody.
Winehouse coming out.
I know that was on Netflix, right?
Bohemian
Was-
Rhapsody was at the theater and it
Oh,
did
was that theater?
great.
Okay.
So much so that they're like, we should do a sequel, and I'm like, no, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, we don't.
How do you do a sequel when it's done?
Well, he didn't die in the movie.
Oh,
And the band continued on after Freddie Mercury passed. So
That would be a cool thing too, guys. We should take
Bohemian
so,
Rhapsody
like,
2, which is the Adam Lambert
so
years.
I'm a huge Queen fan, and so I know what they got, not everything, but what they got right and what they got wrong in the movie. Stu is a huge Crew fan, so I'm curious if you could do that with The Dirt.
Well,
What they got right, what they got wrong,
probably 80% was fictional.
or at least blown out of proport, like made it a lot more
It was
like.
based
Well,
on.
they change a lot of times. They change timelines and stuff to make it so. Like in Bohemian Rhapsody, they said a few things that just aren't true. First of all, the band never split up. They kind of went on to do some solo projects for a little bit, but there was no we split up and then we came back together at Live Aid. That's not true. That's just not true. Also, Freddie, like his timeline of when he found out he had AIDS and all that, that's not legit either. Um, the band didn't know for a long time that he had AIDS. Like, he didn't die from AIDS till the 90s, and he didn't announce it to anyone until shortly before that. So a lot of that is just they fictionalize it for the movie. Even how they met is not entirely accurate, and just stuff like that. They dramatize it for movies. But overall, a lot of it was true. I've always been curious about The Dirt. I'm one of those people that, like, I can go see a movie based on a true story and enjoy it, but then I always want to go and read what the true story was, and then I want to see, like, oh, how much of it was similar and how much of it did they. I'll give you a good example. The Greatest Showman is a wonderful movie, but in real life, P.T. Barnum was a piece of
He
shit.
was a huge dick.
Fucking
He was a
asshole.
monster.
And that movie is almost in a big chunk of that movie is just made up. So don't expect that to be the real.
And they weren't
life
singing
story.
the entire time either.
They weren't?
I don't think so.
Well, I think they'll be singing from now on. No, nobody's singing fucking.
That's
Greatest
not
Showman?
the song I think of when I think of that. But
What
I don't
think
really
of?
watch musicals, so
well, Rewrite the Stars is one of the big ones, but also what is it? This Is Me. That's
This
another
Is
good
Me.
one from that one.
That
And
movie's good.
The Greatest Show. I think this is what it's
Greatest
called.
Show.
Yeah,
This is
that's the one I
Greatest
think of.
Show. I love the whole
Yeah.
movie. Like, I love all the music.
Yeah.
But it's total bullshit movie. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
real. It's not real.
But
42 is
if
pretty
you
accurate.
watch it as not being about P.T. Barnum,
It's great.
fantastic. Yeah.
42, the Jackie Robinson movie, is fairly accurate, and I know for a fact that Jackie Robinson's widow played a big part into why that was. They changed a couple of little things just for time's sake and to make it make more
that's
sense.
something we should do for a future show.
What's that?
Sports movies.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. We've talked about this so many times.
Only if we talk about the Mighty Ducks.
I like
Sandlot.
sports.
Well, of course.
I like sports, but I'm not like a big sports guy, but I love sports movies.
I love football movies.
Football movies are great, and I'm not even a big football guy, but
Right.
football movies are great.
We could do one just on hockey movies.
Hockey movies are
literally
Slapshot.
Mighty Ducks, Slapshot. Yeah.
Miracle.
The one movie
I
I've
guess there's
seen,
two of them.
The Goon. I've never
Miracle.
seen The Goon.
Haven't seen Goon.
Miracle. Yeah, Miracle. Yeah. Here's we could that would totally
Mighty
be
Ducks 2, Mighty Ducks 3.
no stop it. Just
The
Mighty
TV
Ducks
animated
series.
series.
Mighty Ducks the cartoon.
Mighty Ducks the Lunchbox.
So these are just a few of the movies we talked
from Suck to Blow.
want to talk about this. You know, I would love to do an episode where we talk about I lost my train of thought. It's fine.
Yeah, one of those strokes again, guys.
Trust
It
me, it happens with age.
it does happen with age. So by the way, happy birthday, Stu, for all our listeners out there. Stu
Thank you,
recently
thank
had a
you.
birthday.
Yeah.
It was
How old
Nearing
are
the
you
half
now?
century mark.
yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Nearing. I got a couple of years.
Get that
Couple.
get that card in the mail. So you
Yeah.
get the
one benefit.
the discounts.
Do I get the Buckeye card?
Yes, you can get a Buckeye card.
Sweet.
That's an Ohio thing for those of you who don't know.
It's like
The Golden
for
Buckeye.
like a senior citizen thing.
Yeah, pretty much. So
The
I
discount
kind
the old
of
country
pointed
buffet.
it out earlier. We are on YouTube now. All of these go out there on YouTube. All these episodes go up on YouTube. But on top of that, right now we only have one channel, but we're about to split into two channels that are kind of sister channels. One channel is going to be all of this, all of the mixtape stuff, all of our episodes and certain interviews, which by the way, we have a couple of great interviews coming up. I'll tease about that in a second. And then the other channel is going to be I've been doing movie updates, like breaking news and stuff about upcoming movies. And we're going to add to that. We're going to start doing some, Matt is talking about doing some movie reviews and these are like 10 minutes or less kind of videos of older movies. We're going to discuss movies and stuff. And those two channels are going to be kind of combined. Right now, they are combined. They're all on one. So if you want to go over and check it out, please do. We're on TikTok as well. You can watch those videos on TikTok. But please go over and check it out. Like I said, the second channel will be launching here in a week or two. And please, patronize us. We're also on the Fosse book. You can check us out there and the Twitter X. And you can check us out there as well.
I like that better.
Twitter X. That's just where
Maybe they should have just changed
X
it to
Twitter. We're there as well, so you can check us out on all of those. So I mentioned I just got to do a really cool interview. Matt just did an interview, which is up on our YouTube, which is Johnny Manchild and the Poor Bastards. They are a smaller band that are climbing, and they are fantastic. So please go check it out. Johnny was a cool dude. We actually got to do an interview with him a couple months ago, but there was a whole thing, not so much on our part. So we decided there was some issues going on, and we decided we were going to scrap that and let him do a whole new interview, but I couldn't be there for it. So Matt got to do that one. And then and that one is up. You can go over and check that out. We will be releasing the audio on that soon too. Then I got to do an interview with somebody. The time it fell, I was the only one available. I'm not allowed to post it yet. We have to wait for about a month.
Can we even announce it?
Oh, I think I can announce it.
Okay, well, real quick. Is Stu aware of something else?
Oh yeah, I sent it to him. Yeah, he got a fun birthday surprise.
All right. I love it.
So because we got to interview a certain band on the show, it happened to be on Stewie's birthday, and I got him to do a birthday shout out for Stewie, which was really cool. But we need to wait to release the actual interview until they've got an album dropping, and they're going to be going on tour, and that is Collective Soul. Collective Soul. We got to interview Will Turpin from Collective Soul, and that will be up here in a few weeks. And yeah, he did a birthday shout out to Stewie, and I got to send that to Stu on his birthday. I thought that was really cool of him. Really great dude, really great band. Like I said, they're going to be touring this summer, so you can check that out. But they got a new album about to drop, so we will be dropping our interview right about the same time. Yeah, they're going to be touring with Hootie and the Blowfish, and somebody else is, I think, going to be open. Oh, Gavin, what's his face? Gavin.
Hostile?
I'll be your crying shoulder. Gavin
DeGraw?
Yeah, that guy.
A few moments later.
Oh, Edwin McCain, not Gavin DeGraw.
Yeah, that's what I said. You said it wrong. It wasn't me. I got it right.
Yeah.
No one's going to go back and check me.
Facts don't matter on the internet.
All right, guys. That's all we got for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Casey will probably be back with us next week. We hope, and we've got a really interesting show coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. please please be joining us again next week for the mixtape.
Nice cover up.
And yeah, I think that's all we got, guys. We love you. And until next we have the opportunity to speak to all you fine folks at home, remember to always
Stay awesome.
Thank you for watching the mixtape. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the bell icon for notifications when new videos come out. And remember to always stay awesome.